you want to be a part of the conversation before it happens here on YouTube, click that link in the description to join the free Courtside Financial Discord. What's going on, everyone? Welcome to Weekend Recap on the Courtside Financial Podcast, a segment where we bring you a compilation of everything that went down throughout the week from a stories perspective. Before we get into this video, make sure you hit the like button, make sure you hit the subscribe button, and click the notification bell icon so you don't miss out on any content that's coming in the future. So let's kick off with the headline act, NIO's Q3 financial report. Revenue soaring to 19.1 billion yuan, which was a 117.4% increase. Pretty astounding. But hold on to your seats, because when you look a little bit closer, even with revenue soaring that high, what also happened was net losses of 4.6 billion yuan. So what's the strategy behind these bold moves? Well, we'll have to buckle up as we shift into what CEO William Li said as he unveiled the roadmap for the next 2 years. This roadmap emphasized organizational cost cutting and efficiency improvements as well. It's like preparing for a Grand Prix. You need the right team, a lean machine, and a stellar strategy. What caught our attention was NIO's acquisition pit stop. They spent a cool 3.2 billion yuan acquiring assets from Anhui Shanghai Automotive Group. Think of it as souping the engine to boost performance. Professor Wen Yonggang also joined the crew as a new independent director, adding a seasoned navigator to the team. But here's a twist, we already know this, we already talked about this on the channel. William Li announced a 10% workforce reduction. This is a strategic move as one of those cost-cutting measures to optimize efficiency in the company. Tough decisions for a tougher competition up ahead. Now on to the financial pit lane. NIO raised 1.15 billion yuan through convertible senior bonds. CFO Feng Wei noted that this move strengthens their balance sheet, providing them with momentum in the fierce competition. Obviously, as we mentioned earlier, NIO's revenue was the star of the show here, with 19.1 billion yuan, 117.4% surge compared to the previous quarter. A significant chunk came from vehicle sales, rising 142.3%. It's almost like NIO hit the turbo button on vehicle deliveries this time around. And breaking news here, Li Bin, the company's founder, announced the company's foray into the independent vehicle manufacturing realm. This is going to be a game changer for NIO. Zhang Junyi from Oliver Wyman says that NIO can now enjoy things like even more government subsidies and carbon credits, reducing their cost. They're not just in the race, they're now designing the track. Battery swaps, anyone? NIO joined forces with Changan Automotives and Geely as well, as we documented on this channel before the earnings report came out too. They're looking to revolutionize the world of pit stops in the electric vehicle realm. Swappable battery standards, network sharing, and asset management are all things that these partnerships, will encompass. Now, gross margin held steady at 8%, but NIO's cost rose to 17.5 billion yuan, however. That would be a 55.7% increase. Now let's talk losses. Obviously the tough part to talk about. NIO lost 4.6 billion yuan, which is a 10.8% increase from last year. The road can be bumpy, but Li Bin assured shareholders that all these moves are necessary in the view of long-termism. As we approach NIO's finish line, Q4 looks pretty promising. They anticipate to deliver between 4,700 to 4,900 vehicles, with total revenue expected to hit 16.1 to 16.7 yuan. It seems like NIO's financial race is far from over. Now, the buzz in the industry is about whether power swaps is going to be something that is a rival to traditional charging methods, or if it's just a fad. Today, we're going to be exploring all the ups and downs in this, so stay tuned. So here's the pitch. NIO, the electric vehicle maverick, has been making significant moves in the power swap arena. Forget about traditional charging stations, they're swapping batteries like kids swap Pokemon cards. Now the big question is, can NIO turn this business model into a slam dunk, or are they dribbling down a slippery slope? Let's break it down. It all started in 2021. When President Quinn Lehong compared NIO Power to parents investing in their children's education. It got people talking. If others could offer the same battery replenishment options, should NIO be able to buy in as well? Fast forward and we've got alliances forming like a high-stakes game of chess. Changan Automotives, Geely, and NIO. It's a strategic dance to set the battery swap standards and dominate the EV game. But is this a checkmate, or is it just opening gambits? Now before we jump into action, let's rewind, because battery swaps aren't new. Great in theory, but Tesla owners gave it a cold shoulder. Why is that? Well, Tesla wanted users to foot the bill for battery replacements, and the logistics of it were as smooth as a pothole on the road. So why the fuss now? Why is NIO betting big on battery swaps when others have stumbled in the past? It's like bringing back a dance move from a forgotten era, but hey, sometimes the classics are worth revisiting. The industry is changing, and the failures of the past don't necessarily predict the future. We're at the beginning of a long road for charging and battery swapping. NIO's not just competing with other EV makers, they're eyeing the entire energy ecosystem. It's not about who's in the driver's seat, but rather who controls the game. Now here's where it gets interesting. What's all the fuss about technical standards? Well, it's not just a simple plug and play situation. Batteries are like snowflakes. No two are alike. And don't get me started on the different power swapping methods. It's like choosing between Apple and Android. But what battery swaps got going for it is that the government signals are clear. Unify the battery swapping standard. The vice president of IT wants a battery swapping standard for all electric vehicle makers. It's a dance of cooperation, and everyone's invited to the party. But don't get too excited yet. The road ahead is full of speed bumps, and let's talk about the nitty-gritty, inputs and outputs. Setting up a power swap station like a restaurant is a hefty investment. NIO will break even at 50 to 60 swaps per day, but with only around 2,000 of them out there, and they are the largest player in battery swapping right now, that's a hefty task to fulfill. It could be a 5-year investment, but are we looking at a pit stop, or are we looking at a long haul race? Now let's zoom in on user experience. Charging takes time, and aren't we as humans an impatient bunch? Battery swaps promise a 5 to 10 minute pit stop, but queuing might be the new waiting line for concert tickets. So can NIO keep the user experience premium, or will this result in a failure because of too many cars at the charging stations? Alright folks, so fasten your seatbelts, because we're heading into uncharted territory now. NIO's not just playing checkers, they're heading into three-dimensional chess of power swaps. They're not afraid to tweak the game, two-way charging, integrated stations, and partnering with big names like Geely and Changan Automotive. But is NIO really the David to the Goliath of traditional energy? Sinopec, PetroChina, and State Grid all have their own energy plans. It's not just about who has the fastest car, it's about who controls the racetrack. As we wrap up this electrifying episode, the road to dominance in the power swapping game is clearly a marathon, it's not a sprint. The winner might not be the one with the sleekest or shiniest car, but the one that controls the chessboard of industry, public opinion, and policy. Now, if you ever seen or heard of NIO Day, you know it's not your average car event. It's more like the NIO Spring Festival, complete with concerts and Lee Bin dropping some serious knowledge bombs that shock the market. But this time around, it seems like there's a new player in the game. NIO started off with the ES8, but look at how far they've come. Now the word on the street is that there's a new car in the works, and it's going to be released on the NT 3.0 platform. Lee Bin claims that this vehicle will be the technical benchmark for global smart electric vehicles. Talk about setting the bar high, but can this car compete with Tesla's affordable cars? The excitement here is definitely palpable. But wait, there's more. NIO isn't just stopping at one new car. Lee Bin spilled the beans that 9 new vehicles across 3 brands will be hitting the market pretty soon. Enter Alpine and Firefly, NIO's sub-brands that are aiming to capture a different segment of the market outside of the premium segment. It's not just about high-end anymore. NIO is spreading its wings to the masses. Now here's where it gets interesting. Alpine or Alps targets the 200,000 to 300,000 yuan market with 4 to 5 products, while Firefly sets its sights on the mid to low market, focusing on small and mini cars in the 200,000 yuan range. NIO isn't just reducing, they're diversifying their portfolio like a strategic chess move. And hey, speaking of chess moves, NIO's Q3 financial report is in, and it's not looking as bad as the Q2 report was looking. It's actually looking kind of impressive in some people's eyes. With revenue skyrocketing and a solid gross profit margin, NIO seems to have found a sweet spot within the high-end market. But they're not really stopping there. Our friends at NIO are making strategic moves to enter the mass market and cater to a broader audience. Two major moves caught our attention: a circle of friends, Chang'an Automotives and Geely, who partner with NIO for battery swapping, and a whopping 3.16 billion yuan investment to acquire its own production assets. NIO's gearing up to lower costs and expand its influence. But how will they do it? Shift the models to lower priced cars or reduce the models of existing cars? It's all a chess game, my friends. It's very clear at this point that NIO wants to be more than just a high-end player. They've seen the tides change in the auto market, and they're clearly adapting. With the announcement of Alpine and Firefly, NIO is creating a product line that's just like Audi, Volkswagen, and Skoda. This is going to cover them in various market segments. This isn't just about selling cars anymore, it's also about winning hearts and minds. So mark your calendars for 2023 NIO Day, because it's not just going to be another event. NIO is evolving, adapting, and aiming for the stars. So will they become the people's champion and succeed while maintaining their high-end allure? Only time will tell. So as many of you may know, the European Union has made a mandate that all mobile phones must have swappable batteries by 2027. Now this move is aimed at standardizing removable batteries and having users be able to replace them more easily. But interestingly enough, it seems like not everybody is on board with this directive. John Ternus, Apple's Senior Vice President of Hardware Engineering, says, "We want to focus on making sure our customers have easy access to repair the things that are most likely to require repair. There sometimes can be a bit of a conflict between durability and repairability." That's right, it seems like Apple, the tech giant, is not exactly thrilled about this mandate. Apple's SVP of hardware recently discussed their engineering strategy, indicating a potential conflict between durability and repairability. Ternus says you can make an internal component more repairable by having it discrete and removable, but that inherently adds a potential failure point. Now, the EU's rules won't kick in until 2027, giving Apple some time to dispute it and comply. With Apple's iPhone 15 having just been released, it's pretty clear that there will be no immediate changes to their smartphone lineup. Now, why does this matter to the Courtside Financial audience, particularly those invested in NIO? Well, it's all about swappable batteries. NIO has been a pioneer in the electric vehicle industry with this innovative battery swapping technology. This technology not only addresses the concerns of battery degradation, but also extends the life of the vehicle, providing consumers with a more pleasant experience. Now, Lisa Jackson, Vice President of Apple's Environment, Policy, and Social Initiatives Division, says, "We want to have it all. We want Apple products to still be Apple products." Now, if Apple is looking at ways to move around the EU's mandate, it raises question about the broader implications for the electric vehicle industry as a whole. Most electric vehicles do not currently have swappable batteries. This makes the battery itself a critical and expensive component. NIO, on the other hand, has been championed as the king of battery swapping, and it has even recently extended its battery swapping technology to Chang'an Automotives and Geely. They aim to standardize the batteries, and that's something that the government in China wants to do as well on the electric vehicle side of things. Chang'an and Geely are two significant players in the electric vehicle market. So what could the EU's policy mean for a company like NIO and the electric vehicle market as a whole? Could swappable battery technology now give car companies, a competitive advantage in the future? We'd love to hear your thoughts. leave a comment down below. That's going to be it for this episode of Week in Recap for the Courtside Financial Podcast. If you found any of this information valuable, make sure you hit the like button, make sure you hit the subscribe button, and definitely leave a comment down below. Genuinely interested in hearing what you guys think about these new this new style of videos that we're doing. Anyways, that's going to be it. I'll catch you guys next time.